Hey, ladies and gentlemen, happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, November 30th. Rest in peace. Christy McVie passed away today. Broke my freaking heart. Hope everybody is doing well out there in the world today. Um, I play that song behind me for two reasons. Obviously, the passage of Christine McVie. If you're of a certain age, you just love Fleetwood Mac. You gotta love Fleetwood Mac. But also, I'm want to announce that I will be in Los Angeles next week at the University of Southern California, where that marching band plays that played that song Tusk. I will be there on Wednesday, a week from today. As a matter of fact, we are helping to premiere very important documentary, extraordinarily important documentary. It's called Lone Wolves, Loan Wolves. It's going to be on the Peacock channel starting on sometime in the weekend after that Wednesday. So I want to say December 11th. In any event, on that note, we need some clothes, dudes. We need to get some threads for this thing. If you didn't know, we are a truly grassroots organization. We survive and thrive only, well, maybe not thrive. We survive only on donations from normal people. And we typically, it's a hand to mouth type of thing. It's a week to week, day to day, month to month thing. But this thing just came up. We need to raise about $120, like pretty quickly, like by the end of the weekend, I'd say, so that we can go and get, I don't know, just some decent clothes, like a darkish sweater and like some of those modern little skinny jean things that people wear and stuff like that. So please help if you would. Let me just dial that in for you. For those of you who are new to the group, let me just apologize. We're a little bit more legitimate of a group than we may seem to appear at this current moment in time. We are the oldest and largest and first and in many ways only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. No matter what you would like to see happen to your loans, that's good. A solution for your own loans, whatever you may have in mind. Total cancellation, some middling negotiated thing, a break on interest, something, whatever you want to see happen with your student loans. Really, the only path through which to get there, and I think most people are coming around to finally realizing this, what we've known for years, is in getting the constitutionally enshrined right of bankruptcy returned to the loans. The founding fathers called for bankruptcy in the Constitution, and for all their faults, the Constitution's fathers knew something, and what they knew was that in order to have a free country, we had to have uniform bankruptcy rights for everybody. They called for it in the Constitution. In fact, they called for it ahead of the power to raise an army. They called for uniform bankruptcy ahead of the power to print money, ahead of the power to declare war. That's how important the founding fathers knew that having uniform bankruptcy rights was to the people. Well, here we are 250, I don't know. A lot of years later, student loans are the only loan in our nation's history to be uniquely stripped of this very important protection. And guys, I'm telling you, please, if you're new to the group, just take my word for it when I tell you, and we've been doing this for 18 years now, nearly. Bankruptcy is the cornerstone of this whole problem. And so the important thing that you need to know is that we have got two bills in the House and Senate right now. The Democrats have a long-standing promise to return bankruptcy rights to these loans. And again, remember, we are not going to see anything good, anything meaningful, not loan cancellation, nothing good, unless and until we get bankruptcy back. We can get bankruptcy back right now, this congressional session. We can get it by the end of the year. And it's a fairly direct path from getting the leverage of bankruptcy return. Not that everyone or maybe even anyone should actually have to file. Just having the leverage of bankruptcy returned to us is what is of penultimate importance. We could get these bills passed by the end of the year. If we do not get these bills passed by the end of the year, we are screwed. I'm going to say it mildly tonight. We are screwed for a long time, at least 2 years. That's the way this rolls, guys. We're a nonpartisan group, by the way. If you're a Republican, if you're Democrat, libertarian, whatever you may be, you're very welcome on this group here. We are fiercely nonpartisan. Frankly, we can't stand either of the mainstream parties. It's kind of a good cop, bad cop. We frankly hate them both at this point in different ways. As I said, it's kind of a good cop, bad cop thing, but whatever, guys. We are politically neutral. We are completely nonpartisan. However, we are politically aware, and the political reality is that the Republicans have opposed us. And in a mixed Congress, we found the hard way that it is essentially impossible to get anything passed through Congress when it's mixed. And come January 1st, it will be back to a mixed Congress. So, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're Democrat or Republican, the Democrats is the party that matters right now. Our bill is bipartisan, by the way. Our bill's S-2598 in the Senate, HR 9110 in the House. The Senate bill has 2 Republican co-sponsors, which is an incredible feat. And we deserve, in fact, this group right here, the people on this group are the reason that this bill even exists in the first place. But we have a lot to be proud of. We have come a long ways, both on loan cancellation, which by executive order, which started on this group. And if you don't believe me, do a Google News search for student loan cancellation by executive order. And the earliest news article that you will find is it's either June, July, August, 2019 Vice News article where we are interviewed, where the question is first asked, if indeed the president has the power to cancel student loans by executive order. We're fully on board with the loan cancellation, don't get me wrong. But guys, we've seen what Biden's going to do as far as cancellation goes. He's not going to do more than that. He played politics with this. He used us for votes, and now we're looking at a lame, feckless loan cancellation that was not impressive in the first place and may not even happen in the second place. And it's going to be a long, drawn-out soap opera. It's bullshit, guys. Pardon my French, but it is a distraction. Distraction. What needs to happen is we need to get the constitutional leverage of bankruptcy returned to us. Then and only then are we going to see anything good. So, guys, this comes down to the Democrats. The Democrats have been promising us for decades that they would return these loans, return bankruptcy to these loans. And quite frankly, they screwed us badly in 2008 when they had an opportunity to do so for private student loans. They screwed us again in 2011 or so when Obama was in office. Now, in 2016, the DNC put it in their party platform to return bankruptcy to student loans. Again, in 2020, the DNC put it in their party platform to return bankruptcy to student loans. Well, here we are, guys, 2022. Democrats control the House. Democrats control the Senate. Democrats control the presidency. That's a trifecta. That hasn't happened since 14 years ago. So the Democrats can finally now do what they've promised to do for decades. Here we are. It'll be December 1st tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, both of those bills would pass with flying colors in both House and Senate. You know, there's more Republicans on that Senate bill than there is on the House bill, or than there are Democrats on the Senate bill. And we fully expect a bunch of Republicans to jump onto that House bill as well, if and when it comes up for a vote. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are 5 key people that we need to push with everything we're worth. Because, guys, after January 1st, we are back in the desert. We are walking in the wilderness again. If we don't get these bills passed by December 21st is the last day that the Senate is in session. So that is really kind of the deadline for us. It's 3 weeks away, guys. 5 people that we need to push. Number 1, Senator Dick Durbin. He is the chairman of the Judiciary Committee and sponsor of S-2598. Frankly, we shouldn't have to push him, in my humble opinion. We've got him on record saying that he will push this bill. The bill has everything it needs to pass, sail through committee, sail through Congress. I would like to. I know not all Republicans will vote for this bill, but I know quite a few will. In fact, many will, maybe even most. And I would like to see a Democratic senator vote against this bill. They won't dare. They wouldn't dare. Dick Durbin is the guy. He's the chairman of the committee where the bill is sitting. He can do this. He can get it out of committee. Chuck Schumer is the number 2 guy. Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Senate, has to get that bill up for a full vote on the Senate floor. Chuck Schumer is probably the number 2 guy. The number 3 guy, actually, number 3 and 4 are Jerry Nadler and David Cicilline. These are congressmen from New York and Rhode Island. Jerry Nadler, David Cicilline. Jerry Nadler is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, and he is sponsor of H.R. 9110, which is the companion bill for S-2598. They introduced the bill not very long ago at all, like 2.5 months ago or something, very recently. We've had commitments from their office that they're going to push this bill, but this is the Wild West, guys. I don't think anything good is going to happen for us unless and until we, the people, push hard on Jerry Nadler, David Cicilline to get that bill out of committee, up for a full vote in the House. And again, another important person in the House would be Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who just announced that she's stepping down as Speaker or something. Like Chuck Schumer, she's kind of the gatekeeper that decides what bills get on, what bills don't. So those people right there, those 5 people are the 5 most key people that we need to be pushing very hard. Now, around them, there are some auxiliary people and entities who become very important. Entities include, obviously, the Senate Judiciary Committee, very important, and that's really the Democrats, the Democratic side of the Senate Judiciary Committee. The House Judiciary Committee, and again, the Dems in the House Judiciary Committee. Interestingly, one very key group that has threatened to kill this legislation are the HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. Now, I'm not going to waste too much time here, but if some of you out there are going, now, why on earth would people representing Black colleges and universities, why on earth would they be against returning the freedom, the leverage of bankruptcy to their people? In other words, why would they screw their own people like that? And I'll tell you why. There's a clawback provision in the Senate bill, not in the House bill, but we'll see what happens in reconciliation. There's a clawback provision that, at least on paper, requires the colleges to reimburse the federal government up to half of the original amount borrowed in the case of a bankruptcy discharge. So this is a feckless and frankly toothless add-on into the bill. We've been watching the Department of Education for many years. Never have they ever actually enforced any penalties, clawback provisions, etc. They've only done it kicking and screaming. And even if they tried, it is literally impossible to know in many, if not most cases, how much was originally borrowed, because we're talking about older loans that have been bought and sold, sliced and diced, shipped around, transferred. And it's a sliding scale, by the way. It's up to half the original amount. So, somebody originally borrowed $20,000 and their loan exploded to $150,000, $200,000, which is not uncommon at all. They get a bankruptcy. Well, yeah, the bankruptcy on, what did I say the original amount was? $20,000, $10,000? The amount that the college might be liable for is only half the original amount. So if they originally borrowed, say, 10 grand, it would only be 5 grand to the colleges. And again, the Department of Education has never clawed back money ever from the college. It just does not do that. And the HBCUs can be accommodated in many ways. Let me just, to make a very long story short, the HBCUs have nothing to worry about. They'll be fine. Their concern is completely unwarranted. And it's a sliding scale, by the way. It's not half. It's up to half, depending on their default rates or repayment rates. It will be a token, a pittance. If it's anything, it will be a pittance for the schools, for the colleges. So whatever, guys. The HBCUs are either threatening to oppose us or they are straight up opposing us. And shame on them for that. They are hurting their own people, people of color, African Americans, Black people. They are being hurt so much worse by these loans than average. It is, it's heartbreaking. And to see the HBCUs stand in the way of this extraordinarily important legislation, not only stomping on the head of their own people, but stomping on the head of the whole entire fucking country. That just, it's beyond the pale. And I hope it's a vicious rumor. But frankly, I don't think it is. We need to push the HBCUs. So if you look on Twitter, you can find the White House HBCUs. They're probably the best Twitter entity to point to, particularly if you're a person of color. We all get sold out by our members of Congress, but I have to say, man, I have seen the Black Congressional Caucus do some dirty things around the student loan issue in years and decades past, going back to like the gainful employment rule. And that's got to piss you off. So anyways, if you're a person of color, then it's probably more appropriate for someone like you than, like me to be fighting this battle, this particular front in the battle. So, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? All right, guys. And then there's one other person who I have to mention. I'm going to look for your comments in like 2 seconds here, guys, by the way. Sorry to be lagging. There's one other person in this battle whose silence on this issue is vexing, is ominous, and is infuriating. And that is Senator Elizabeth Warren. Now, I'm going to keep my powder dry tonight. I'm not going to go off on too much of a rant here tonight because we appreciate Elizabeth Warren. We've got a long history with Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren's first splash in the national spotlight was a top story interview on 60 Minutes in 2006, May 2006. And I know that because this group, people on this group, me and 3 other people on this group, were the key interviews. We were the anchor interviews. What the story was all about was us, me and Britt Napoli and Bill McLaughlin and Lene Brown, I believe her name was. Really good people. That was Elizabeth Warren's very first big splash in the national spotlight, and she nailed it on the bankruptcy issue way back then, 14 years ago. And I could probably talk for about 2 to 3 hours on our history with Elizabeth Warren, but suffice it to say, what is very important, is that Senator Elizabeth Warren, who taught bankruptcy law at Harvard University, has not said one word, yay or nay, about S-2598. Not a word. In fact, the Boston Globe asked her for her comment on this bill, and she refused to comment. She only said, I don't want to negotiate against myself. So I don't know what kind of game Elizabeth Warren is playing. Well, let me just say, I'm going to keep my powder dry on this particular issue. Suffice it to say that what's important is that Elizabeth Warren needs to recognize the reality. The reality for us, me and you, is that if we don't get this bill passed by the end of the year, we are screwed for years, if not decades. And that's the truth. As I said, we wandered in the wilderness for 12 years, the last time the Democrats betrayed us. And that is what we are staring down the barrel of right now. And Elizabeth Warren, of all senators, knows this. And to see her being so ominously and eerily silent on this bill, she's very loud. She's getting very loud about the bankruptcy issue, but she won't say one word about this particular bill. That is, I'm going to let you draw your own conclusions about what that is. All I know is that Elizabeth Warren needs to come around and support this very important bill for the good of the country. And we need to push Senator Warren very hard. We need to make it very clear to Senator Warren that the livelihoods of tens of millions of people essentially is sort of in her hands in many ways. She's kind of like Joe Manchin right now on the bankruptcy issue for student loans, guys. So I hope what I just said makes sense. And make no mistake, we don't hate Elizabeth Warren. In fact, we volunteered for Elizabeth Warren in Iowa. Among all candidates, Bernie Sanders included, Elizabeth Warren was our top choice in Iowa 4.5, 5 years ago, or whenever that was, the run up to the Iowa primaries. We were there. We lived in Iowa. So with all the best of intentions and good faith, I would urge you all to please put friendly pressure of all kinds on Elizabeth Warren at this time, if you would please, particularly if you happen to live in Massachusetts, if you happen to be a constituent of hers, or if you happen to have any close ins with her. She has said all of the right things for many years, and right now is the time for her to actually deliver. And many good things will happen for Senator Warren when she sees this opportunity, S2598 and HR 9110, for what it is, and that is an opportunity that cannot be passed up, an opportunity that the Democrats will ignore and not seize upon at their massive, massive peril. So I hope that's clear. And I may have more to say about that as time goes on, but we're going to play things by ear and see how things go. I'm looking for your comments right now. Sometimes it's fairly hard to find. Oh, there they are right there. Okay, there we go. And I'm not going to go too much. I'm not going to take that Elizabeth Warren thread too much further tonight. I don't think there's any good reason to. Hey, Lisa Ansel says, "Yep," and she goes like this because it's the fight thing for USC Tusk. Jackie Abrams with us tonight. Hey, Jackie, I believe Jackie's in Texas tonight. Texas, $141 billion in mostly federal student loan debt hanging around the necks of the people in Texas. They say don't mess with Texas. I'd say Texas has been hogtied by mostly federal student loan debt. Good on Senator John, who's one of the co-sponsors of S2598. Bad on senators like Ted Cruz. Bad guy. Hey, Michael Cheney says, "Hi all, no deer yet, made calls last night, daily action done." Thank you, Michael. Hey, if you're new to the group, and I'm sorry I took so long, if you forget everything I say tonight, remember this: do our daily actions. We need you in this fight right now. We're a working, fighting group. And if you can't tell, we will get nowhere unless you help. This is not a wait, watch, and worry, eat popcorn and expect somebody else to pull your weight for you group. We don't operate like that. You got to put your own work in on this block, as Michael Cheney's doing, as Lisa Ansel's doing, as Jackie Abram is absolutely doing. She is just roasting it up on Twitter. Kudos to Vanjie, by the way, in California, who got on C-SPAN today. Kudos to Leslie, Donna, and Paula yesterday, who got 3 calls into C-SPAN. If you think maybe C-SPAN's maybe getting a little bit sick of us, yep, you're right, they are, and they should. C-SPAN is pretty swampy, guys. They have bad guys. They have our opposition on all the time, talking about, oh, canceling student loan will benefit the wealthy, and it'll be a huge cost to the government. Both those things are just complete and provable lies, by the way. But Michael, I hope you do get a deer. I nearly hit a deer a couple of weeks ago, not even 2 weeks ago, on the highway here in Wisconsin. The deer are freaking big out here. Where I'm from, they're little sick. We're like up in Alaska where I've hunted before. They're little tiny Sitka blacktails. They're like little Bambis. But up here, they're like fucking. They're big. I'm not a hunter, by the way. I don't kill stuff, but I do like to fish. Okay. So I like to kill fish. What was I doing? I was looking for your comments. So Michael, good on you. By the way, Michael has been getting on C-SPAN. Michael got interviewed in the New York Times. Michael is a fucking trooper. He's probably our best guy, our best spokesman, because he's not he breaks all the stereotypes. He's a truck driver, right? Truck driver from Ohio. And it's important that people realize that we are not a bunch of blue-haired liberal snowflakes. Like, yeah, we have progressive people on this group, no doubt. But guys, I'm telling you, it's all the stuff the media says is complete bullshit. We're not young. We're not liberal necessarily. We're not snowflakes. Most people's student loans are over the age of 35. People over 50 outnumber people under 25 with student loans. We're not Democrats, really. I mean, this is basically an even split. In fact, there's a slight majority of student loan borrowers are either Republican or independent. I kid you not. It's like 51% of people who have been to college, including both graduates and non-graduates, they identify politically around 50% Democrats or 49% Democrats, around 51% are Republican or independent. So, yeah. So Michael, I'm just glad that you're out there, man. Veterans are being screwed by these loans. Seniors, way more than young people. Way more. Young people have not felt the poisonous, dark underside of this lending scam yet. It's the older people who know this scam for what it is. Hey, Vanjie, I was talking about you earlier. Hopefully you heard it. Hey, Ed McKinley says, we have no means of due process. They can and have had their way with us. Bankruptcy gives us an essential means of defending ourselves. Yes, exactly. Our fearless co-leader, Ed. Ed knows what he's talking about, ladies and gentlemen. You want to talk about due process? Let's look at student loans. Just a quick lecture. Student loans have almost no due process. First of all, underwriting on the loans is just non-existent. So there's missing process, whether it's due process, I don't know. But there is no appeals mechanism for default determination. So in other words, they can throw a loan into default completely illegally if they want to. And they do often, actually. They love defaulted loans, by the way. It's a perverted incentive system where defaults can make them more money than healthy loans. It's perverse. It's a predatory lending system, but they can throw a loan into default, and there is literally not even any appeals process or mechanism of legal recourse for the borrowers. And I've seen this happen many, 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 many times. In fact, Sallie Mae was fined $3 million in 1999, I believe. They were fined $3 million because they were throwing loans into default by the thousands, maybe even tens of thousands. I don't know how many loans. They wouldn't say. Throwing loans into default without even attempting to contact the borrowers. They wouldn't even call them. They'd fake up paperwork, making it look like they tried to reach them, but they never did. So the first thing any of these borrowers would get in the mail, 9 months after they graduate, is, hey, congratulations, your loans are in default. You left college with 30 grand, but now, you owe 50 grand, and that's going to be 100 grand pretty soon because you're in default. So that's how disgusting and seedy. Sallie Mae happily paid that fine, and from there on out, it was business as usual. How many more times they did that, we may never know, but I know that it was quite a few times after that, for sure. Myself included, by the way. So yes, the founding fathers were not dumb. Bankruptcy is a terrible thing to have to do, but we've got to have that right in our back pocket. And think about it this way, guys. They're going to turn the loans back on, maybe in 2 months, maybe in summertime. We don't know. Depends on how the lawsuits go. It's a big, disgusting, distracting soap opera drama that I don't even pay much attention to. We can't control it. But they are going to turn these loans on, and the bad guys really want them turned on quickly. And when they turn the loans on, you are going to be served up like turkey at the Thanksgiving dinner to the collection industry. And if you're like most people, you're not going to pay. My best guess is 80% of everybody is not going to pay on their federal student loans when they turn the lending system back on. So it will be a massacre, and it will be a feast, and we are the main course and the dessert. That's what's going to happen come whenever they decide to turn these loans back on. Would you rather face that reality with the threat of bankruptcy in your back pocket? Or would you rather just be served up to them naked and afraid and vulnerable and with your ass essentially up in the air, wiggling around for them? Sorry, I don't mean to draw crude imagery in your mind. Suffice it to say, we do not want to be hamstrung again, ever again. We need our power back. We need our power as the founding fathers called for it, ahead of the power to create a judiciary, ahead of the power to like build a post office and stuff. A lot of very important powers that Congress was given in Article 1, Section 8. If you look at that whole entire list, uniform bankruptcy laws are called for near the top of that list. Read the Constitution. You'll be amazed. Hey, Vanjie says, bankruptcy, what matters is the pressure on student loan companies and the fact that they will lose their golden egg of predatory profit when we get the right to discharge our friggin' student loans. Yes, exactly. It's their kryptonite, Vanjie. It is. And by the way, it shouldn't be. Every lender for every other type of loan has to deal with the reality, the threat of bankruptcy. But for the Department of Education and its crony contractors who have been given a license to steal, we do not have to take this shit, ladies and gentlemen. Quite frankly, I think the founding fathers are looking down on us and saying, how did our people get so weak? Why did they let themselves be conquered, enslaved, and cowed? Why are they tiptoeing around on eggshells because of this? I don't know what the founders would say verbatim, but this cheesy rat trap of a lending scam. I think the founders would say almost verbatim, these people need to take their papers to Boston Harbor and they need to burn them, and they need to throw the ashes or throw their papers in the harbor, I think is what the founders would say. Frankly, I think the Congress of 1965 would be saying that. In fact, I think the Congress of probably 1975 would be saying that. We don't have to take this shit, ladies and gentlemen, pardon my French, but we don't. We're a better country than that. And in my humble opinion, if you ever pay even another dollar on your federal student loans, you are not only doing something that's quite unwise, I think you're doing something that's very unpatriotic. Don't feed the beast. Bulletproof yourself. But you know what, guys? Hopefully we won't even have to go there, because hopefully the people in Washington, D.C. will finally take their place and assume their role of being the adult in the room and doing what's right and returning constitutional bankruptcy rights to these loans. The Department of Education can live by the same rules that every other lender, including the federal government, have to play by. And that's been a long time coming, and everyone, including our opposition, knows that what I am saying is absolutely true. All comes down to bankruptcy, guys. And if that's all they ever do, I think they'll have to do far more, quite frankly. I think it's a very direct path between getting bankruptcy rights back and seeing very broad, widespread loan cancellation, because the lending system has gone too far off the cliff. But even if we have loans going forward, as long as bankruptcy remains gone, it's kind of problem solved, because, and there will be wide, broad loan cancellation. Joe Biden does not want to be the president that presides over the largest wave of bankruptcy filings in U.S. history, including the Great Depression, which will happen if all they do is return bankruptcy. But Bankruptcy is what is needed to keep the price of college down. And I think everybody can agree that that is long overdue and sorely needed. Bankruptcy is the great equalizer. Nobody wants to file, but everybody's got to have that right, as everybody else has. So too do student loan borrowers have to have that very same right. And as I said, unless and until we have that right in our back pocket, this lending system, in my view, is completely illegitimate. And at this point, I'd say it's vanishing into a mist of illegitimacy. I think it's incredibly stupid and unpatriotic for anyone to be paying money into this mafia-like lending scam. Shame on you if you do, Frank, and I mean that. I know a lot of people out there are like, yeah, but I'm going to get my wages garnished. Oh, that's bullshit. Give me a break. You are way more afraid of this lending system than you should be. You are way more afraid of this lending scam than you should be. They are way more afraid of us than we should be of them. And, paying them that blood money only encourages them. Don't feed a bad dog. You know what I mean? My humble opinion. So you're going to have to rewind this if you want to hear what's going on with Warren. Her ominous silence on S-2598 is extraordinarily concerning. Elizabeth Warren needs to step up and publicly support and call for the passage of S-2598. That's got to happen. And everybody needs to push Elizabeth Warren to that end. That's all I'm going to say about that. I hope I don't have to say more later, but I will if I have to. Oh, by the way, yes, if you are in Los Angeles, come. It's not the Norris Theater, which I was hoping it was going to be. Come to campus on Wednesday, December 7th at 7 p.m. We're going to be at the Stark Family Theater, which is just a kind of catty corner from the famous Norris Theater, which is what I remember when I was in college. But do that. Come by and see us. Lisa says there's a great piece out today in the LA Times. Knock on wood. I hope there are many great pieces to come out in the LA Times in the coming week or 10 days. I hope very much. Lisa says Durbin introduced another student-related bill today to provide more oversight on the for-profits, and just any bill that gets introduced right now is kind of like, come on. I will say one more thing about Elizabeth Warren. On the day that our companion bill, HR 9110, was introduced in the House, Elizabeth Warren held a press conference to announce that she was introducing her own bill. And that was like 3 weeks ago, with like a month and a half left in the calendar year in the congressional session. So it's just stupid, guys. Any bills that are coming out right now are almost, I mean, unless there's an inside track for them, and that probably is not. It's the only thing that matters right now, guys. The only thing are S-2598 and HR 9110, and you doing our daily actions. And by the way, vote for Lisa. I almost forgot. This is important. Speaking of, hey, Lisa, that glamour contest that I've been telling you about, I know it sounds trite, but it's actually not. Lisa isn't a glamour contest. It's called votefab40.com. I'm going to dial it in right now. Here it is right there. Lisa is fighting for student loan justice. And it's a national thing, national exposure. The winner is decided, I think, around 10 or 12 or 13 days, maybe 15 days from now at the latest. But the timing of this thing is really good. And if Lisa were to win, it would be great, just brilliant national exposure for us at exactly the right time as far as the zeitgeist goes and the media and all these kinds of things. So please vote for Lisa. It's easy. It's quick. It's free. All you need is like a Facebook thing to whatever. It's a Facebook thing. Or you can actually even pay money and buy votes, which is in itself eyebrow raising. But yeah, you can do it if you are so inclined. But vote for Lisa. She's in 5th place right now, last I checked. And the contest ends tomorrow. And I don't know how many votes she needs. If I had to guess, I'd say she probably needs at least, I don't know, probably 5,000 or 10,000 votes or something like that to propel her up to number 1. I'm totally guessing. I don't know. But we can do that. You know, we've got 20,000 people on our Facebook group. Why couldn't we get 10,000 of them to vote for her? And that means you. So guys, I think I've gone on way too long tonight. Let me do one last check for your comments. I'm not going to be able to get to all of your comments tonight. I can tell you that right now. Sorry about that, dudes. But if you can't tell, I'm pretty excited. If you can't tell, we are right on the verge of either a glorious, historic victory for the people, young and old, black, brown, yellow, white, all religions, all colors, all creeds, all political persuasions, red states, blue states, mostly red states, actually, if you really want to know, mostly conservatives and Republicans, if you really want to know. But we're fighting for everybody now, guys. This is a universal issue. It should not be a partisan issue. So no matter who you are, who you love, whatever. I don't even know what I'm saying. No matter who you are, whatever your deal is, you need to be helping us fight. We are on the right path, and stick with us, and we will get it done. Every other path that I can see is a dead end. So the clock is ticking. And we've got 3 weeks, guys, 21 days. So what we get done in the next 3 weeks is going to tell the tale. We may not even exist on January 1st, and that may be a very good thing because we won. We finally got victory, or it could be a very bad thing. It's hard to say. I can't tell the future. All I know is the future is not set. And what you do, what you sitting there do, means everything. It means everything. I'm not going to beg you. These are your loans. This is your problem. You got to step up, and you got to join all the people whose names I've mentioned tonight and tens of thousands of others who are doing our daily actions, for example. You need to step up, do your part, pull your weight, because nobody can pull your weight for you. You're not better than us, by the way. Lisa's a Harvard grad, if one cares about those sorts of things. You're certainly not better than us. You've got no excuses for not doing it. We have people in wheelchairs who can't even speak, who are doing our daily actions, like Martha, who we love. We love you, Martha. You have no excuse. You need to be doing our daily actions. We need you. You need us, and you need everyone to be doing these. If even 10% of the people on our group were doing these daily actions, we'd be done within 2 weeks. But it all starts with you. So before I start getting angry, I'm going to sign off for the night. I'm going to wish you all the best of good luck, the best of Godspeed, and keep us posted as to how what else you do. Do more than what I just said. You're creative. You're clever. You can think of things. You're smart. You're well-resourced, well-connected. You have special talents and skills. Do more than that. Surprise us. We need good surprises right now. And after 3 weeks from now, all bets are off, ladies and gentlemen. So good luck, Godspeed, and God bless everyone. I'll see you on Friday. Ed will be back. Ed will be, our fearless co-leader will be with you on Thursday.